Comedy is like a tiger. Was it a desk lamp? It might have been a desk lamp. No, it is a tiger. Excited to be here tonight, guys. I want to throw something out there. Babies are kind of dumb. No, they're like really dumb. I don't get this thing that parents do all the time, like, oh, my baby's really smart, he learned how to turn over onto his tummy. I do that, I turn onto my tummy every night when I sleep, I don't even think about it. That's not impressive. My baby's really smart because he's learning how to talk. Your baby's going, it's not the next M&M. I think more parents need to follow it up with a qualifier for a baby, you know. If you just tell me your baby is smart, you've lost me. Because I'm not going to believe anything you're saying because, no, I'm not buying it. But if you say for a baby, okay, you know, my baby is really smart. For a baby, no, okay. We both understand the bar is set very low. We're good. It's like, you know, I'm really good at acknowledging and appreciating other cultures that are different from my own, you know, for an American. But no, I like kids. I kind of have to for my profession. I'm a mental health therapist. And that's real, it's not a joke. But it's a tough job. You hear a lot of messed up stuff. But you do also come away with some really funny stories. My one client was telling me a story the other day, and just to preface it, I take confidentiality very seriously, so I have to tell the story in such a way that if one of you happen to know this person, you wouldn't be able to tell who it is. So I'll have to be a little vague in some areas. So, 3 things you got to understand about this client. Number 1, he or she works in, let's say, the service industry. 2, he or she has a condition that, let's just say, makes life difficult sometimes. I think you know where I'm going with this. 3, he or she is part of a family. They're members of a certain religious sect that celebrates specific holidays. Okay, I think we're good so far. My client, who is a man or a woman, is celebrating this particular holiday with his or her family. And, you know, he or she is cutting into that traditional food. And my client's father or mother stands up and says, look, son or daughter, I don't know who you think you are right now, but it doesn't take a food industry person to know that's not how you cut a holiday bird. Oof, I guess that kind of got lost in translation with maybe let's go with some therapy jokes. I think I don't have to censor that too much. Let's see. I'm trying to think of one that you guys maybe haven't heard before. You guys have probably heard the one about the guy who's walking down the road and gets brutally beaten and robbed, right? The therapist comes along. It's the therapy joke where the guy gets brutally beaten and robbed, and then the therapist comes along and he says, the therapist says, my God, you know, whoever did this must really need some help. Because the therapist... Okay, alright, great, you guys haven't heard this one. Love this joke. So, this guy's walking down the road, and he gets brutally beaten and robbed. And he's just left there. The therapist just happens to be walking along, notices the guy there, comes over, and he's holding the guy, and he says, my God, whoever did this must really need some help. You guys have heard this one before, haven't you? I knew it. Alright, we'll go a little broader. Everyone knows, what's the number 1 bad thing for you?
Cars.
Audience participation. Number 1 bad thing for you. Come on. Genocide.
That's bad for you.
No, genocide's fine. No, it's high fructose corn syrup. Yeah, you knew that. Yeah. No, it's high fructose corn syrup. That's stuff that's in everything that tastes good, and it's what makes it taste good, but you know, it's not food, apparently. It's this manufactured stuff, not good for you. So I've been trying to keep off of it the last few years, and I gotta say it's tough. It's doable, but it's tough. The obvious answer to me seems, and I don't know why people haven't done this yet, just invent organic high fructose corn syrup. Duh! What's the least they could do? The least they could do. Love it when people say that. I don't, actually. Talk about shooting yourself in the foot. Like when somebody says it's the least they could do to me, it's usually in response to gratitude, but instead of making me feel grateful, it just points out that they could have done a lot more. Like, I'll give you an example. Let's say I asked my neighbor to pick up my kid from soccer practice. So I say, hey, thanks, I appreciate that. I really need that help. Neighbor says, oh, no worries about it. It's the least I could do. Well, I was grateful, but now I'm kind of making this list of all the things he could have done more. He could have, gotten my kid something to eat on the way home. He could have brought him to his house and watched him for a few hours. He could have helped him with his homework. Shoot, they could have come over to my house and cleaned my house. But no, they did the bare bones minimum. They did exactly what I asked them to, and they're pointing it out to me. Thanks a lot. What I usually like to do is when people thank me, I like to point out that I could have done more. I'll say, I could have done less. You asked me to pick him up. I thought, I respect this guy. He probably wants me to bring him home as well, not just to drop him off at the side of the road. So I did that for you. Another thing I don't like when people say is, I was just going to say. You guys have probably all heard this before in like a classroom or a training setting. Some people raise their hand, and then somebody invariably says, oh, I was just going to say, and then they say the answer exactly as they were going to say it. Like, why did we need that little introduction? What context did that provide that I was going to say? So what I like to do is I like to play around with that sometimes. So what I do is I make sure I'm like the second or third person to raise their hand, and I make sure that the teacher sees the other person raise their hand first. So they acknowledge that, they pick that person, my hand goes down, because I know they saw me. So the person gives their answer, and I am hanging on to every word. I'm paying very close attention to their answer. Because my hand doesn't go back up, because I know the teacher saw me, so they end up calling on me. And I say, oh, I was just going to say, and then I lodge into the exact same answer that last person just gave, word for word. And then I followed up with, but Craig just said that, so I thought it'd be kind of redundant, I decided not to say it. So it's kind of a smart-ass thing to do. But I am pretty smart, actually. In fact, according to my IQ test, I'm actually a genius. For a baby. All right, thanks, guys. Woo!